And to culture, Dave Chappelle and other comedians who have taken sides, comedians like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, James Kennedy, and Bill Kristol, have spoken out in the past. As culture become more and more ubiquitous in show business, comedians are finding it particularly difficult to ignore when one profession is to take the stage to show up and lambast pop culture and society. The odds that a joke or train of thought will venture into a cancelable territory shoots up beyond even the most outspoken of celebrities. Most recently, Dave Chappelle has found himself in a crossfire of people calling for him to be cancelled and for Netflix to make some kind of amendment for giving me a platform to espouse comments that made many deem transphobic. Honestly, it is special. However, Chappelle is far from the first comedian to speak directly about cancel culture, with some supporting it as a method of accountability to modern comedians and others liken it to McCarthy of the 1940s. A rundown of some comics who have discussed the concept in the past. James Kennedy, a 50-year-old actor, spoke to Fox while promoting his new film Last Call about the social media phenomenon and why there doesn't seem to be any room for forgiveness or growth. It's a decent time, let's take a recent example. Beverly Pew, if we put a magnifying glass to everything in history, I will assure you with the new guts, you can almost cancel everything. So it is a matter of nuisance and context, he reasoned. Does a cartoon have real world implications? Yes. If enough people consume it, they believe it is a law. But the question is, do you believe a skunk can talk? And do you believe a skunk buys flowers for cats? Kennedy questioned. He pointed out that individuals need to have the personal responsibility as well. Kennedy concluded that he is all about the combo, but admitted it is scary time and at some point you have got to leave, right? It's like there is no forgiveness anymore. With Krista Weiss in doing an interview with the New York Post. It's becoming a minefield, I get it, said a star 73. I don't like it. I understand. I just keep doing what I'm doing, and that's all you can do right now. It's an interesting time. It is an interesting time. Donald Glover, comedian, rapper, and actor, speak very quiet on social media. In fact, prior to his recent tweets, rant about TV and film, there was there wasn't really any context on his page at all. However, in May, This Is America singer couldn't help but speak up when he reads a discussion about reviews being sick of boring stuff. So people on here having a discussion about how tired they were of reviewing boring stuff TV and films. Glover said in the first three since deleted posts we are getting boring stuff and not even experimental mistake because people are afraid of getting cancelled. The star concluded his thoughts by writing, so they feel like they can only experiment aesthetics also because some of them know they are not that good. Chris Rock spoke against cancel culture, that it leads to unfunny and boring content for comedians. The stand-up comedian appeared on The Breakfast Club in May. During an interview. Rock was asked about cancel culture and how it has impacted him as a comedian. He noted that after a year in quarantine due to the coronavirus pandemic, he found the landscape to be drastically different. It's weird when you are a comedian because, like, when you're a comedian, when the audience doesn't laugh, we get a message. You don't really have to cancel us because we get a message. They're not laughing, explain our feelings hurt. When we do something and people aren't laughing, we're like, we get it. Hall continued by calling cancellation of comedians disrespectful to audience that is at a live performance for the sole purpose of judging the content. I don't understand why people feel the need to go beyond that. You know what I mean? He explained honestly to me it's a disrespect. It's people disrespecting the audience like, oh, you think you know more than the audience? audience know more than everybody. Okay, but hey, something something don't need to be said. Some people need to be looked out for, and they don't understand that. But not letting comedians work is, what happens is everybody gets safe. When everybody gets safe and nobody tries anything, things get boring. The star went on to lament that the fear of getting cancer has led many comedians to avoid taking risks, thus leading to a slow view of unfunny comedians as well as unfunny shows, movies, and other projects. Everybody's scared to make a move, Rocky declared. This is not a place to be, we should have the right to fail because failure is a part of art, he added. Seth Rogen downplayed the impact of cancel culture by arguing that some comedians are going a bit overboard in reckoning with past jokes that have not aged well. Rogan 39 appeared on Good Morning Britain earlier this year where he showed some understanding towards cancel culture proponents, even taking responsibilities for certain jokes that he understands will not play well in today's society. There are certain jokes that for sure have not aged well, but I think that the nature of comedy Rogan said via Insider, I think conceptually those movies are sound, and I think there's a reason they have lasted for as far as people still watch and enjoy them today. Jokes are not things that necessarily are built to last. Pineapple Express actor went on to deride few fellow comedians who rally against cancel culture when they are taking to tax over materials they produced in the past. Over materials they produced in the past. To me, when I see comedians complaining about this kind of thing, I don't understand what they are complaining about. He continued. If you made a joke that is aged terribly, accept it. And if you don't think it's aged terribly, then say that. You know. He noted that facing criticism for his work is simply something that goes hand in hand with being an artist, particularly in one comedy. If you don't like that, then don't be a comedian anymore, he said. To me, it's not worth complaining about to the degree I see other comedians complaining about. KattWilliams, the comic Ferdinand, appeared on Joe Budden podcast when the host asked him directly for his opinions on the current state of comedy and what cancel culture means for the future of genuine. Williams took a hard stance on the issue, arguing that it's merely an invitation for talented artists to elevate their work. If you ask all of the people who didn't make it to the NBA, if you ask them if we just lowered the goal down another foot, they will all tell you they will make it. Nobody likes the out of bounds, but the out of bounds has got to be there, he said. Some of these things are for the benefit of everything. Nobody likes the speed limit, but it's necessary. Nobody likes the shoulder of the word, but it's there for a reason, he added. My point is people weren't at all extremely funny back when they could say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, there is no cancel culture. Cancellation doesn't have its own culture. That was a big statement from Dave Chappelle from Cat Williams. Williams went on to note that the slew of comedians complain about cancellation and heightened sensitivity aren't necessarily the ones the comedy world will miss when they are gone. I don't know what people got cancelled that we wish we had back. Why they? It's done for the reason it's done for, and it's help who it's help. Williams said. If all that's going to happen is that we have to be more sensitive in the way that we talk, isn't that what we want anyway? I'm saying it's your job as a comedian to please the most amount of people with your art. So if you want to offend somebody, nobody took those words away from you, but don't call somebody this word when you know it affects all of these people. John Lovitz, the former Saturday Night Live comedian, went as far as comparing cancel culture to McCarthy of the 1940s in an interview with Page Six. Thus told the outlet that it's his job to satirize what's going on in the society and to point out the hypocrisy. He believes that cancel culture recent prevalence has made it difficult for both him and other comedians to do their job as well as they used to. As soon as you say to a comedian like me, you can't say that, the first thing in my head is, oh, and now I have to explain. He added that there is a difference between simply making a joke about something sensitive and being outright mean. If you don't have the ability to laugh at yourself, don't go to a comedy club. Love its cautions. I'm not changing my act. If you are watching TV and don't like the show, change the channel. It's very simple. Kevin Hart. Speaking to the Sunday Times, the comedian directly addressed the growth tide of cancel culture, noting that he isn't bothered by the incident because he simply doesn't want to allow it to bother him. If people want to put up stuff, go back to your same tweet of old. Go ahead, he said. There's nothing I can do. You are looking at the younger version of myself, a comedian trying to be funny, and and at that attempt failing, apologies were made. I understand now how it comes off. I look back and cringe. It's so good. So it's good. It's about good. Had made sure to note that people who have done something truly damaging to others should be held accountable and face consequences. However, he doesn't believe that always the case when it comes to cancel culture, specifically in his situation. When did we get to a point where life was supposed to be perfect? When people were supposed to operate perfectly at all time? I don't understand it. Continue. I don't expect perfection from my kids. I don't expect from my wife, friends, employees because last I check, the only way you grow up is from messing up. I don't know a kid who hasn't fucked up or done some dumb shit. Had liking the situation many comedians are facing to someone getting out of jail to find that public scrutiny has extended their punishment far beyond what the judge ordered. With Goldberg, the EG Board winner, 65 addressed the social phenomena at Edinburgh TV Festival's per Variety. Goldberg said she feels like the truth doesn't seem to matter as much as these days. If you go was asked about her own experience with cancel culture after allegedly making a joke about President George Walker Bush in 2004 fundraising events, I would describe the situation as a lot of people covering their backsides because the joke was never about him, Gilbert recalled. But no one ever stood up and said, hey, here's what actually happened, and they put it in the newspaper. You notice they never seen what I exactly said or what I said at all. But all somebody has to do is to say you said it because there's a cancel culture people will call or text and say, I'm not buying your product. This is who you have talking about your product, me and my 5 million followers. If you keep her, we are not going to buy a car, we are not going to buy a shampoo, we are not going to buy a toothbrush, or we're not going to buy a pampers. David Speed. I can't be argued that Speed benefits a bit from cancel culture. Recently wrapping up the guest hosting thing on Bachelor in Paris after regular host Chris Harrison departed the franchise amid racism scandal. Speaking to the Variety about his time on the show, Speed noted that the Bachelor producer Mike Fleiss gave him the freedom to say what he wanted to do in his time on the show, even if it meant lightly mocking the series, while the former enjoyed his freedom as a guest host. That he was asked about the fact that many comedians find themselves under morally restricted even these days. It's very decided, it's very tricky, Spart responded. You have you used to have to say anything as far as you could to push the envelopes to get attention and people will like it. I like this guy, he's pushing it. And in comedy clubs, audience really appreciate that. Cedric the entertainer. Speaking to Hollywood Reporter, executive producer said the possibility of getting cancelled over just one joke is not lost on him. Nowadays, crossing the line, right? It's not bad if you're on the news for a couple of days, but you don't want to be the guy that wants the night or someone's moment instead. At the same time, you have got to be yourself. As comedians, we are up on a tightrope trying to make sure people are entertained, but again, we are living on the hypersensitivity society. You don't know where that line sometimes it moves from day to day. The star went on to discuss why he's tweaking his approach and compare the ways of delivering humor on the national stage during national stage these days to writing English paper. You have your jokes, then you look at the words and think about how far you can transform them. Should I say your mama or a mama, it's about making sure the jokes land in a way that you say want to say, but don't necessarily direct it at anybody specifically. Thanks all of these comedians for really staying your mind and talking publicly about cancel culture.